Hey everybody, it's your old pal Mike. I hope you're happy, healthy, and safe. And boy, have I got a doozy for you this week. My friend Wendy drove all the way in from the Bronx to bring me their MIJ Jazzmaster. This is one of those kick-ass blonde and gold limited edition versions that are so well loved among offset aficionado. However, it's giving them a bit of noise trouble, and I really want to make sure that this thing is ready to go for their upcoming recording session. So what we're going to do is we're going to rip this thing apart. We're going to get all up in them guts. We're going to figure out the issue, and we're probably going to end up shielding the whole thing while we're in there as well, because I want this thing to play as great and sound as great as it possibly can. So why don't you come along with me? We'll get in there, we'll figure out the issue, and we'll address it together. Sound good? Let's get into it. Ooh, yeah, we've got some binding in the nut. Note the short little strat arm here. That's that's cute. I like it. Oh, this has some modified thimbles. Yeah, this bridge doesn't rock. Interesting. I don't know that I've encountered an MIJ with those before. Okay. Ooh, geez, all the wire. Okay, that... Alright, so this might be part of the problem. We've got wires running directly underneath the neck pickup, and that means I can't remove the guard without removing the pickup. Now, for practicality, this is a little bit annoying, but for noise issues, you want to run those wires beside the pickup and not directly underneath, because when you switch to the neck pickup, well, you've got a noise source right beneath it. So I'm going to have to mess with that a little bit. I may even need to rewire if the wire is a little bit tight. And I'm also seeing some spliced connections, so I don't really know what to expect here. So let's carefully remove this neck pickup and see what we've got going on. Now, one of the good things about this guitar is that Wendy has already gone to the trouble of replacing the pickups with Duncan Antiquity 2s. These are great pickups. These are some of my favorites on the market. Personally prefer the Antiquity 1 because I like that darker sound. But Wendy, as far as I know, is going for a much brighter tone in general. So these should work out perfectly for them. Yeah, so there's definitely a mix of parts going on here. And I'm seeing some stuff that I really don't like. I am seeing an assemblage of parts that are mismatched, and that gives me a little bit of pause. I don't like seeing this. I don't like seeing a full-size import pot and then the little pot. The wiring is definitely sloppy. There are splices. Yeah, this... If we don't go to the trouble of rewiring this completely, I feel like we're going to be, for lack of a better metaphor, just putting a Band-Aid over an open, gushing wound. Because seeing splices is never a good sign. And the wires are just, they are just to and fro. Nothing is routed with thoughtfulness or intention. Some of the connections are even far too short to make it where they need to go. So, yeah, I think I'm going to recommend redoing this completely. I'm also a little bit concerned that I don't have all of the available parts to make this as right as possible. I don't think I have a matched set of 1 meg pots, so yeah, I'm going to call Wendy and I'm going to see what they say. No big deal. All right, so I have been approved by Wendy to get their guitar all worked out. I'm going to begin this process by removing the guard from the body completely because it's just easier to work with when it's off. So I think the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove the shielding that's already been placed in because it is piecemeal. It lacks continuity, and to be honest, it's just not comprehensive. It's not really doing its job because not every surface is coated in the foil. That is the only way that this kind of shielding works, is when every surface is covered in that foil and then it is mated to the foil on the back of the pickguard. With it as it is, it's not doing anything at all. There are plenty of places for noise to get in, such as over here by the toggle switch or in the completely unshielded rhythm circuit cavity. This simply won't do, so I'm going to completely reshield the guitar, albeit in fast forward, quick motion. Incidentally, if you want to know more about how I properly shield a guitar, there is a video on this very channel that I will link to in the description down below. That video walks you through my process for achieving a beautiful and functional bit of shielding in the body of a guitar, so do check that out if you're curious. All right, so I'm going to remove this bridge pickup as well, and we're just going to go for it. Okay, first things first, I'm going to remove all of this shielding because it is not good. This is something that Wendy and I discussed up front. I suspected that I would have to redo shielding, but I didn't expect there to be some in there already, as lackluster as it is. But yeah, if you are shielding a guitar, you have got to make sure that every piece of foil you use is connected, and barely any of these were. And sadly, there's not even shielding paint on this one. It seems Fender Japan and even Squier do that these days, which is a better than nothing. Shielding paint can be super effective. You just got to make sure you apply it correctly, which a lot of brands even don't do sometimes. That stuff is really tough to check for continuity, so it's always important to do multiple coats and check as you go along. No big deal. Okay, I think that we are good to go. Well, sad news, friends. I've got copper foil, but it's running low. There's not enough of this to do a full guitar. So I'm going to be using some aluminum foil, and this is still good. Copper, obviously the better conductor, better at rejecting noise when used in this way, but only marginally so. And with the cost to performance breakdown, I mean, if you're in a pinch, aluminum foil is going to work just as good in most applications. I don't really have a problem using this stuff. Some of my own guitars have aluminum foil and are dead quiet. And the real challenge of today's exercise is to get Wendy ready for the studio. So, you know, we're just going to do what we can to make this as noise-free as possible. And if down the road Wendy really wants me to go back over it with copper once I get some in, I am so happy to do that for them. Not a big deal. I won't double charge for work. That's just not me. Anyway, I'm going to get to it, and we're going to fast forward through the process, and we'll meet up at the end. Alright, so I have shielded the entirety of the interior of the body. I think it came out really great. It looks good. And better yet, full continuity, full coverage. This should reject noise beautifully, especially when paired with the foil on the back of the guard, which I will go over just to make sure that everything is right as rain there. Now, my plan is to set the body aside and focus on the wiring. As I said previously, this wire is not quite the way that I would want it, so I'm going to completely redo it. This is really the only way that I can be certain that everything is taken care of, that there is no extra noise, that the wiring connections are good, and that there are no splices. Anyway, I'm going to film my progress as I rewire, albeit sped up, because I've just got to get this job done so that Wendy can get on their way home. I will give a note where applicable, but, you know, for the most part, we will see you at the end. Just gonna see what's up here. Maybe this isn't a splice. No, that's just a piece of tape. Hey, all right. Not spliced. I love to see it. Ideally, I would be using colored wire so that you can tell which is input, which is output, all that good stuff. But I simply don't have any, so it's all going to be white. And I apologize for the next person who has to trace a circuit or something. I know. One of my dreams for this year is to have the full gamut of pretty colors for wire. Orange and red and blue and green clovers, purple horseshoes, and pink balloons. All that good stuff. Notice I'm using my needle nose pliers to help me build a clean harness here. That is something that I find to be very important as far as, you know, looks, if anybody ever looks at it, but it's just easier to trace this way if it's clean work, and also clean work has far less chance of being bad.
Clean good, sloppy bad.
And for those of you wondering why I'm insisting on using cloth-covered wire, it's just what I like to work with. I prefer single conductor, 22 gauge Gavit wire because it just makes a clean finish. Rewiring your guitar with this stuff won't magically give you a quieter guitar on its own. It is just an option that I enjoy personally. So. The other advantage of doing clean work means that I can build in some slack whenever I need to, just by making it pretty. I prefer to use electrical tape because I think I can get a much cleaner finish off of it. Plus it doesn't bind the wires up like zip ties might. I really don't like seeing zip ties on harnesses. It's too restrictive, and they're often far too tight, so they're not just holding the wire in place, they're like putting a lot of excess pressure on it, which is never a good idea. Well, all right, there you have it. Yeah, it sounds markedly quieter to me. Not totally quiet, maybe like 35% quieter, which is plenty because realistically, there is no amount of shielding in the entire world that you can add to a guitar with single coils that will completely eliminate hum. That just isn't possible. So, if this still isn't quiet enough for Wendy, I might recommend that they look into some pickups by, say, Seymour Duncan, or Novak does some great hum canceling Jazzmaster pickups. Same for Kinman, same for Fralin. There are options all over the place for players of all stripes, and if that's you looking for a noiseless Jazzmaster pickup, well, you're in luck. There are plenty of great ones out there, and I encourage you to go after them. Well, that about wraps it up for me. I do hope this episode has been educational and informative for you, and that you learned something while I was poking around inside this guitar, attempting to make it the best possible version of itself that it could be. I also hope that Wendy gets a lot out of this guitar in the studio. I cannot wait to hear what they come up with. So, in the meantime, I hope you're taking care of yourself and each other, and we'll see you in the next episode.